Hello. Welcome back to Even More News, the first, the only news podcast. My name is Katie Stoll.
Hi, Katie Stoll. My name's Cody Johnston. Welcome to me and everybody else.
And everybody else. And you. And, of course, as almost always, Jonathan is also here.
Oh, usually.
Hello.
Yeah.
Usually. People weren't happy with me for not saying it.
A few people.
Week.
Makes me feel nice.
People canceled me last week.
Wow. Yeah, you got
have
really
a career
canceled
because
in the
I failed
comments.
to say Jonathan was also here. A catchphrase I created, I think.
I'd appreciate
I believe so.
a video apology. Not from here. Do a separate one with a ukulele.
I was going to say, get that ukulele out.
I can't play a ukulele, but I do
You don't
have
need
one
to.
in
You just
here.
have to be sincere.
Oh, Jonathan, I'm really sorry for getting you last week. Here is a song that I hope makes you like me. I don't know. I'm not good at this.
It's not bad.
It's just
could have
the
used
three
a
of us.
ukulele in your hands, but...
Air ukulele. Oh, no. What did I do?
Jonathan, why did you have to also be here?
I was just making fun of the other lady.
Oh, Jonathan is our favorite. We call him the Eagle.
Okay. Wait, Katie, real quick.
It's Cody's.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did I ever... I have two ukuleles then.
You replaced this one.
That's right.
Boy, we've got some holidays, folks. We sure do.
Are they good?
Friday, January 17th. Ditch New Year's resolutions day. Hey, you carried that mantle for 2 weeks. Put it down, baby. Relax. This year is a shit show. There's no... we don't need to improve ourselves this year is my point. You just got to get through it.
Look, I agree with you completely. But I disagree. Stick to your New Year's resolutions if you can. If you want, if it was like you made it,
Hey,
and you're
Cody,
like,
do you have any resolutions?
I don't like make a resolutions list, but I've got things I'm doing or trying to do that maybe we're a little derailed from the fires, but I've got things I'm improving for the year, and hopefully I
What's
don't
something you
ditch
want to
them
improve
today.
this year?
My general health and exercise and
All right, I support that.
physical health, some sleep.
But I would
sleep
like you to
problems.
ditch the unhealthy part of it where people beat themselves up or try to take too broad of a swing on. So I obviously encourage
I agree with you
improving
completely,
your life.
Katie. I just, fuck, I'm like, get out of it. Like, if you made them for a reason, you can try, but don't make yourself feel bad if you don't live up to them. And if you have to
I just didn't make any.
Adjust them if you have to, or don't make any. It's an arbitrary thing.
I've got goals.
That's good.
And I
it's
try to
good
work
to have
towards them.
goals.
Period.
To be honest,
towards, yes.
every
And,
year in the new year, my goal, my New Year's resolution is to seek balance. For me, that shows up in a lot of ways. I get way out of whack, too focused on this, ignoring this, too focused on work, ignoring family, etc. But for me, my New Year starts on birthday.
My New Year starts on birthday.
On birthday.
On birthday.
On birthday.
Yours.
And,
It is birthday.
This is a slightly unhealthy, toxic one that I have.
Oh, yeah. Give it to me. What do you got?
Well, no, but I'm serious. I ditched my Apple Watch. It's unhealthy. I've talked about different issues with body and blah, 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 image and being in LA for as long as I have. I've done a whole episode about this. And so healthy New Year's resolutions, I think, can be a little toxic. So I've backed off of it. And I ditched my Apple Watch because I always felt in competition with myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to feel in competition with myself on my step counts again. So last year I wanted to get my step count average pretty high, and I did it. And this year I'm trying to dial that back to just not look at that anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's not toxic.
No, you're right. I phrased this wrong. Trying to leave behind that toxic mentality, but while still being active. I feel good when I get a good amount of steps, but I don't need to be looking to see, did I hit 7,000 steps today?
Yeah.
And get out of here. You're fine.
Sometimes you can, make that number higher, challenge yourself, but don't have it be this pressure that's constantly there.
And now Stephen Miller's going to know how many steps you took, so.
Oh.
I don't want... the only person I want knowing how many steps I have or place is China. I want them to know how many steps I've been taking.
But
not Stephen Miller.
Not Stephen Miller.
Get your grubby little hands out of my data, Stephen.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to talk about the news.
Sure.
And late breaking news that I did discover on my phone earlier today, and Jonathan has included in our doc, is that David Lynch died.
Devastated.
Yeah. It's upsetting.
Very sad. It's very sad.
He was just a true artist, someone who kind of didn't compromise, let people into his vision, closest as any filmmaker has gotten to just what it's like being inside a dream. Sometimes uncomfortable, visually arresting. For my 40th birthday, my wife rented out a small movie theater and invited a bunch of my friends, and we watched Mulholland Drive.
That's amazing.
Which is a movie I saw when it came out in 2001 and stuck with me more than any movie that came out in such a formative time.
That time, yeah.
In my life. And it's still one of my favorites, and I think the guy just had something, just a true creative. So he'll be missed. Special, unique, maybe just the most unique filmmaker, storyteller out there. And a super funny guy, too. Oh, just an amazing personality.
He seems like a very fun person to hang out with.
Yeah, I think this is, I saw a tweet earlier. I saw a tweet, I'm going to read it, by David Ehrlich that I think encapsulates a lot of it too. David Lynch gave us the language we needed to better articulate the indescribable strangeness of our shared reality. Lynchian is so overused because it's a viscerally understandable word without any known synonyms. I can't imagine a more beautiful artistic legacy than that. And I find that to
really
be
well
very
said.
True and very succinct and well said.
People describe things as Lynchian when they're not really, but then when, I after I saw the TV Glow came out, which I think is one of those movies that is very original and you can tell was greatly inspired by David Lynch, but isn't just derivative of it. And so when that movie gets described as Lynchian, I think it's like one of those highest compliments.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is our show today, folks. No, it's not.
We did it. We did it.
There's a lot to get through. We will be talking about the fires, I'm assuming, because that's very prevalent in all of our lives. But we're going to start with something else.
Surprising/unsurprising news.
Surprising/unsurprising news. They're getting it done. Maybe. I am, of course, happy that there is progress. It scares me what's on the other side of this progress. And the unsurprising part is, we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that Netanyahu wasn't going to make a deal with Biden. That is not a pass to Biden in any way, shape, or form. I do not believe he has worked tirelessly and done everything that he needed to do, or literally anything to get to this point. But we did know, it's been well reported, that if Trump won, that Netanyahu would try to give him the credit for this. So, Jonathan, walk us through.
Yeah.
And I'm also not saying that there wasn't some work done necessarily. I don't know.
I think we can get into it, but I think it less than good job Trump. I think so much of it is like, what a terrible job Joe Biden.
Yeah.
What a travesty. What an utter failure. I mean, sure, I don't know. We don't know the details of it necessarily.
No, we don't.
And there are reports of like, this person, everyone's trying to take credit for it. But the fact that it is happening now is, I think, a pretty devastating indictment on Joe Biden's legacy. Even if it was like inevitable in the sense of like, no matter what I do, it's going to happen after the election because Netanyahu wants this. And obviously, with like what Miriam Adelson's influence on Trump, the aftermath of this is going to probably be bad. But a ceasefire is good. But it does seem like, even if, like, we all knew that this was going to happen, and even if it was like, there's nothing I can do, Joe Biden could have communicated that. Withholding
a lot of things he could have done.
Weapons, even if it didn't accomplish this, would have accomplished something, which is they would have fewer weapons to carry out what they were doing. But yeah, we'll get into more details.
Well, you touched on a few things already. So what we know right now as of Thursday afternoon, the things can change real quickly by the time you hear this. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire agreement. Phase 1 would see the release of hostages and prisoners on both sides and a 6-week pause in fighting in Gaza. And then, provided everything goes smoothly, quote unquote smoothly in that process, Phase 2 would see all remaining Israeli hostages freed and the complete removal of the IDF from Gaza. However, Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday expressed some hesitation about this deal. He says it's Hamas that's holding things up. We know how that goes. He wants the IDF to remain in the Philadelphia corridor, which is just the border between Gaza and Egypt. It's only like 14 kilometers long or something. So it's a very thin corridor there, but he's like, the IDF has to stay there. And of course, before Phase 2 could happen, there would have to be an agreement about who is governing Gaza, because Hamas says it's Hamas and Israel says, no, there can't be any Hamas. But as Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said, there's as much Hamas now because of recruiting as there was 15 months ago.
One of the many things that was said a year and a half ago, or I guess, a year and however many months, this whole time, we'll continue. There's so many things of like, oh, you mean that thing we've said for a year? Oh, you mean that thing we've said for a year? Oh, you mean that thing we've said for a year? It's all happening exactly as predicted.
And this deal that I just described is extremely similar, basically the same as what has been on the table for 8 months. So to get into the who gets credit, the New York Times reported that the Biden administration's Middle East envoy, Brett McGurk, has been working for months behind the scenes on this deal, and that he's been in communication with Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, but that Witkoff wasn't, on the ground negotiating between these two sides. However, a diplomat told the Washington Post, a diplomat who was briefed on the ceasefire deal, but maybe not part of it themselves, said that Trump's influence was very important and that this was, quote, the first time there has been real pressure on the Israeli side to accept a deal. And that's kind of the real sticking point here. That's the whole ballgame.
I think that the pressure was, hey, we told him we'd end this once I'm in office, so what are we going to do?
Or the pressure is, hey, you got to do this now and give Trump a win, and if you do that, we look the other way on all the West Bank stuff.
Which is pretty much what I've been assuming this whole time. Well, at least since we started getting reporting that Netanyahu would wait till Trump was in office. I'm like, yeah, in exchange, he's going to have a much easier time doing exactly what he wants to do in the aftermath. There's so much uncertainty as to how this will look. How will Gaza be rebuilt?
Who will be rebuilding it?
Who will be rebuilding?
And rebuilt into what? Homes for people who lived there, or however many of these assholes have talked about beachside resorts and stuff.
Exactly. Vacation properties.
A Trump hotel.
Yeah. So as much as I am genuinely thrilled for a potential, hopefully soon end to this stage of this horror show.
The ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing. I'm really, really nervous, more than nervous, because I know it's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty, and I do not think Gazans will be protected. We'll see. I will acknowledge that just reports, I listened to something of children being told of the ceasefire and just screaming in joy.
Yeah.
Little Palestinian children. So I want to acknowledge that part of this, that this is a true nightmare. And
this part of the nightmare is over.
And we don't know what the actual accurate death toll is. I've heard wildly different numbers, but I've also heard the assumption that it's at least 40% higher than those numbers. I've seen the number 100,000, 80,000, we don't know, is going to take a long time. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever know. There are people's bodies buried under rubble that won't be discovered until you start digging through it.
Yeah, it's this it's just that thing where, over the past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks in the media, a lot of reporting. I think 60 Minutes did a piece about like the horrors over there and the targeting of children, and just sort of all these reports coming out about the horrors of this that, again, have been known for so long, and to point those out earlier than now was like not allowed.
Right.
And that is, there's just something very disgusting about sort of denying, and then suddenly like, actually, we always believed this. We always thought this was a bad thing that we needed to end.
But don't let them speak at the DNC.
Exactly. There's just all these pieces. And even there's that one, the New York Times about the death toll being so high, actually. Well, we know that. We actually knew that the death toll was so high. And it reminds me of I think it was maybe early November when Joe Biden publicly, I've mentioned this before, Joe Biden publicly said, don't trust the death count. Don't trust the death toll you're hearing, implying that it's actually much lower than what they're saying. They're lying to you. It's not a high death count. And then he privately apologized, kind of, and said he shouldn't have said that.
That was leaked out. Like, oh, actually, he apologized.
Yes, it was one of the more disgusting things that Joe Biden's done publicly, in my opinion, of just like denying the death count and then privately like, my bad, I shouldn't have said that, and then leak that information. No, you go out there and you apologize for that, for all of those lies that you told. And then to, a year later, like, oh, the death toll is actually quite high. Yeah, we know. We were told by the president not to trust the high death toll. And now, I don't know. That's one example of just that kind of phenomenon over the past year happening over and over. And it's very frustrating. But I also don't want to detract from a ceasefire is good. It's just like how we got here is infuriating, and
it'll never not be infuriating.
Really embarrassing, and for Joe Biden specifically, and the Harris campaign also, as we see so much of the lack of support for that campaign was about Joe Biden and Gaza, and there was no attempt to fix that problem, even though, again, everyone was saying, this is a problem, you need to address this like honestly and for real, and it didn't happen. And you were told that like, oh, it's not a big deal, or like, oh, this is like your little pet issue or whatever. And here we are. You lost because of this. It seems.
Buddy, he still thinks he could have won.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, and we've this is getting to the election weeds. I don't want to focus on this too much, but like, this idea of like everyone just like came out for Trump. Trump won the culture war. He won this. Trump won. He's like, oh, it's a landslide. What a mandate he has. No, people just didn't vote for Democrats. The Democratic support collapsed.
Or it's that Democrat.
Yes. But like there wasn't a surge of Republican support. This idea of this like big shift of like, oh, everyone's a Republican now.
Everyone's anti-woke now, and they're on board with the culture war shit. Yeah.
No, it's because of stuff like this.
This is
their
what I'm
support
saying.
Collapsed.
There's so much. I mean, this is a major part of it. There's other things too about support. Yes, but 100%. This wasn't some big statement about the culture or where we're headed. This is about a lack of support for Democratic leadership, a lack of support for any leadership, honestly. Some people voted for him because they think Donald Trump's just wild and out there enough to maybe be pressured into doing something. Other people are assholes and racists and fuck them. But there was just like a total cratering of our party.
Yeah, they did a bad job.
They did a bad job. This is not in our notes or a part of this conversation, but boy, oh boy, Biden in his last address talking about the dangers of the corporate oligarchy.
Oh, no.
Where the fuck was that energy during the campaign, man?
Yeah.
What?
No, it's like he put in his 2 weeks notice, like after you quit a job, you're like, oh, I'm free. And then everything gets so much easier. You're so much lighter. So now he can say the whole thing.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's like what Eisenhower talking about like the dangers of like the military industrial complex that he like built up. It's like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, there are dangers now.
My legacy might be a little bit suspect.
Oh, I know. Fuck. I better warn people about my legacy. There's also this, I just want to read this very, very brief Sheldon Whitehouse tweet, a senator from Rhode Island. Now he tells us, a Democratic senator from Rhode Island. Now he tells us, Biden speaks out against dark money, for climate action, and for SCOTUS term limits. I pressed 4 years for this speech. And like he's like saying it's a good speech and so on. But again, it's like, why now?
The fuck, man.
And we know why now.
We know why now. We've been through this. But it's so profoundly disappointing to see the energy that we've been asking for, not just his administration, but for a long time. And the writings, and again, it's exhausting. The stuff that we say over and over and over and over again.
On our weekly podcast.
Podcast, which you can find on YouTube and anywhere that you download podcasts. It's just, it makes me want to tear my hair out. But it's the same thing, feeling along with saying, oh yeah, the death count's higher. Oh yeah, we created more Hamas, radicalized more Hamas militants through this. Yeah. Get your head out of your ass and listen to people.
I remember talking about and posting about the two best things you can do is talk about and post about stuff. About that phenomenon, the sort of like, if you're going to completely devastate this place, what are you going to do? You're going to create people who are opposed to the people doing that to them. And I remember being told that is racist to think because, so you think like they can't think for themselves and like they're just like these like bloodthirsty. That's not what anybody's saying. That's just how human beings work. It's not a race thing. It's literally what
it happens everywhere. It happens here. How do you get radicalized into MAGA?
Exactly. It's what has been said so long about war in Iraq and the effect that has by our military. Like they say that's happened, and so like it's again one of those things. Like, but we know we said that was going to happen, and you're told you're being like weirdly racist or whatever, and then months later, like, oh yeah, you were right, but unracistly now actually. It doesn't feel good. Whatever. Feels good that there's a ceasefire, allegedly, supposedly, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So now, Jonathan,
just to put a pin in that, just the Biden talking about the oligarchy. I remember a candidate 8 years ago talking about the dangers of an oligarchy and us being told that was foolish and stupid. And, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
Honestly, that word, though, really transcends parties because I hear people talking about it a lot, left and right. And it's smart and savvy. You should have been smart and savvy enough to do it sooner.
Well, this is true. Now we have like 5 guys who are deciding stuff.
Well, I want to talk briefly about why this is tough for Netanyahu. A majority of Israeli parliament wants this to be done. They want the war to be over. They're ready to go for the ceasefire. However, a part of Netanyahu's coalition, the right wing, does not want that at all. Oh. And they have threatened if he goes through with it that they will pull their support and his prime ministership could collapse. And then there's some specific rules to Israel. You can have a new election and stuff like that. But so he can either do the thing that everyone wants and that they're mad at him about, and that would help Trump, and then Trump will scratch his back, or Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, I believe, will just torch him immediately. Mm-hmm. So he's in a real pickle here.
Oh, poor guy. What are you going to do? Bibi. Oh, no, Bibi.
Somehow skates through. But so now he's saying that the Hamas is being difficult or something.
Well, he's saying, but also he has issues with last minute disputes that are like, I mean, looking at some of the disputes, it's like, oh, so like literally the opposite of the deal.
No, they're fundamental to the whole thing, because part of this is like, you're going to have to be okay with Hamas running the show. That's who is there. That's like been the governing body, and the people inside Gaza probably like them a lot more than they like you right now. So
more than they
if
used
there
to,
is a ceasefire, if you are not going to continue to level the place and kill everybody, that is the only other option. So, but he's like, no, Hamas has to get out and demilitarize and leave. And so it's just like chaos. It's just ungovernable chaos, and that no one's bringing in medicine. No one, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a real.
Yeah,
you can't
it's
have
antithetical
this
to the
deal
concept
and that
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But anyway, that's what he wants. So
yeah, it's like one of those things. Like, okay, we got a deal. Oh, like bring this up early, like a year. You know, it's absurd. It's this weird like sudden wrench in just a pile of wrenches that has been building for many months.
Hey, now let's talk about eating stuff. Food, mostly. We love it. We love food, but making food? Give me a break. That takes time, a thing our society has deemed to be money. And while perhaps we need to uproot our capitalist system as evidenced by the lack of time for basic necessities, I want to talk to you about CookUnity. They make a variety of healthy meals made by award-winning chefs. Meals that require no planning and no cleaning. Delivered fully cooked and ready to eat in as little as 5 of your minutes. Your precious minutes. I tried the pepperoni naan pizza with hot honey drizzle by Chef John DeLucy, one of New York City's most popular chefs. My goodness. Can't get enough of that honey drizzle. You think it's going to be weird, but I promise you it's not weird. It's delicious. Which is short for scrumptious, I guess. Reset your routine with convenient, mouth-watering meals crafted with local ingredients by award-winning chefs. Just go to CookUnity.com/morenews or enter code MORENEWS before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code MORENEWS or going to CookUnity.com/morenews. Get that hot honey drizzle, honey. And we are back from ads for more news, more
of it.
Devastating news. As I mentioned up top, and as we talked about a lot last week, the fires in LA continue to be a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody.
And for California. Cody is still not in his house, but will be home soon.
I will be home soon.
Oh boy, what do we have this week to talk about with? I mean, I could talk about the fires all day. But we've got some specifics here. Most notably, I suppose, the way members of the GOP outside of California are talking about the fires and how to handle them and how to handle us.
Oh,
radical liberals. It's a shockingly conservative state. I'm just going to say that, yeah, it's a democratic state, but there is a lot of conservatives here.
I mean, there are
even
more,
our liberals are pretty conservative.
There are more raw Republicans here than in almost any other state because we have a big
we're
population.
Quite a populous state,
yeah,
exactly.
That's how numbers.
So
I personally think this is just cable news nonsense that they're using to score points and then they'll give the funding. But a number of members of the GOP have been suggesting that there should be conditions before California gets federal aid. House Speaker Mike Johnson says, obviously there's been water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems. And it does come down to leadership. He said colleagues had discussed tying disaster aid to an agreement to raise the debt ceiling.
So that'll help all of those other things you just flagged. Our forest mismanagement.
No, I think the funding will have to go to a big vacuum a la Spaceballs to suck up all the leaves and brush around the whole state. No, Donald Trump said, we're going to take care of your water situation and we'll force it down his throat. And we'll say, Gavin, if you don't do it, we're not giving you any of that fire money that we send you all the time for all the forest fires that you have. This goes on and on. There's a bunch of people.
You know what Republicans love to do? Spend money on stuff. I'm sure they'll help out with all the money that is necessary to improve our infrastructure and environmental sorry, go ahead, Katie. Sorry. Just like.
Well, first I wanted to. Well, I agree with you. Claudia Tenney, GOP rep.
Ooh.
I'm just going to highlight this one because it gave me a visceral reaction. California is a disaster. Those same people weren't concerned about the people in North Carolina or the people in Florida who we've tried to help. Are you fucking kidding me?
That
I
seems
remember
like a lie.
crying about it on this show.
Yeah.
We care very much about everything. We don't have the same hatred for other states the way it gets directed at California. And I also want to say, I mean, I think these statements are gross and disgusting. And yeah, we can have a conversation about forest management. We need to. We can have a conversation about water things, not in the way that you're talking about it with, Gavin Newsom destroying Trump's imaginary plan, with the water. Like, there are absolutely very big conversations that need to be had. And this transcends left, it transcends right. This is all of us needing to, because it's hard. This isn't one administration's decision. This is hundreds of years of decisions that have been made and developing land in areas that never should have been developed, and our use of water in so many places. How about with AI? How about the amount of water that gets sucked up into that? This is a big conversation and very important, but not the way that they're framing it in some sort of bullshit partisan trial of California's Democrats or whatever. Get the fuck out of here. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, they also don't care.
They don't care. But also, I do think that all of us need to start learning about some of these things and having good faith conversations with experts and people that we might not agree with ideologically and stuff, but do care about the forest. The firefighters that everybody is calling heroes, a lot of them would probably disagree on a lot of stuff, but they have really insightful information about fire management. Anyway, I'll get off of my little tangent.
Yeah, no,
here.
It's all frustrating. Local news is generally going to be more helpful about this, and the national news and national politicians are just going to do this. This is just what they do, no matter what happens. And it just so happens to be about a terrifying disaster.
I do want to underscore a point that you'd said, Jonathan. This isn't representative of the way people actually feel. And online discourse, the shit that you're seeing is not representative. People are gutted by this. They see themselves in this disaster. At least I live in a conservative little enclave. There's lots of them in California. People are gutted. People are opening up their homes. People are worried about fire management of the forest. People care deeply. And so the reality of people's experiences out in the world is so far removed from this political circus.
Well, right. They just see people like them who have lost everything. Of course it transcends politics for everyone but these freaks on Fox Business,
Mm-hmm.
And so much of this vitriol is in part because it's Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
All of this, so what happened down the line, some of the big picture conversations about insurance, this does affect all of us. People are reeling because it's not just Los Angeles that they're dropping. State Farm has dropped policies. I was talking with someone this morning. State Farm dropped us 2 years ago, and we've been struggling to find coverage. So, with all of it, it doesn't just affect Los Angeles is the point. It affects the rest of the state. It affects the rest of the country. Moving on. What else we got? Fires.
To play that Rogan
thing.
This is a whiny liberal. It's fucking climate change. Wake up. No, it's arson, you fucking idiots.
I think it's Mr. Beast. He's setting up a new video.
Wow. That's a strong accusation.
Bold.
No, just kidding.
But
they've been trying to get rid of the homeless for a while.
Bro, the homeless are doing it.
Well, they're flammable.
Everyone is. But they're more inclined to use fire to get their anger out.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
To get their anger out. There's literally zero evidence to suggest that any of this started because a homeless person was starting a fucking fire. Cody's got something. I've got something more to say.
It's fine.
We both came in hot after watching that.
I'll
let you go first, but I do have something else to say.
Oh, continue.
You guys are jealous of the comedy on the comedy podcast because that's kind of us too, and they're really up in the game on the comedy podcast.
Yeah, I know they're really up in the game.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it's funny. It is funny that Rogan like stopped in his tracks at a joke, like the Mr. Beast like joke, and he's like, "Oh, what?" Like he doesn't know how to riff. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Joe Rogan is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and doesn't know what he's talking about. And maybe they're starting fires to keep warm. Because they're homeless. And also pretty clear that a power line was the cause of the Eaton fire, from what I've read. I'm not sure if that's
not confirmed, but that's what they think.
Unconfirmed is what they think. And the other one is in the zone, I believe, but it could also be fireworks that's from New Year's Eve that started a fire that they put out, but maybe there was something smoldering.
But also, and the sparks of the fire, the source, that is important to determine, but the vast devastation and the spreading of it and the inability to contain it was exacerbated by climate change, Joe, like very obviously.
Right. It's not like people are saying that climate change literally lit the match.
Right.
It's the conditions. A very easy way to demonize a marginalized community, a community that has nothing, literally nothing. Yes, homeless people do start fires. And, you know, it is an issue. It's not about them, but you're right, Cody, to keep warm, to cook food, to do whatever. And yes,
to get out their anger.
To get out their fucking anger? What are you talking about?
Dumb piece of shit.
But there is a problem with that safety for both the unhoused and communities around it. And we're on top of it. That happens a lot. My friend lived next door to a building, an area that regularly this was an issue. And I don't know where it stands, but we handle that. But you have to have an understanding and a compassion that this is a part of a big problem that we are all fairly complicit in and desperately need answers to. And it is a separate problem from this wildfire situation. And yes, also, after the two major fires started, there are reports that some of these little fires might have been arson, the ones that were put out. We don't have real confirmation on that. That isn't about being unhoused or not. That is people taking advantage of a very chaotic moment. And it is an ugly, sick thing, but we still don't even have proof of that.
Also, people are pouring gasoline into the sewers. I heard this from another comedian, Whitney Cummings, and it's important news. Sorry, Katie, continue.
It's just another example of taking advantage of this situation to create a scapegoat, to pinpoint, place blame on a population that already faces insurmountable challenges.
Yeah, a multi-hundred millionaire living in Austin. Thanks for your take on the homeless people starting fires out of anger, and how the spread of those fires had nothing to do with the changing climate, which I guess it's unclear if he believes in anymore.
I would ask him, let's say you're right, and every wildfire everywhere is started by a homeless person.
An angry homeless person.
What's your solution to that? Because if that was true, mine would be, let's give these people homes and support so they're not angry and homeless anymore. What would yours be? I don't know if I want to hear the answer to that question. Just more mockery? Because I don't think that helps.
Yeah, it's either something horrific or general mockery, or move to Austin.
Yeah, I'm sure he has
millions of dollars.
No, I'm sure he has a voice for homeless people the way he does the whiny liberal voice. This is climate change. Yeah, I'm gonna eat my oat milk. I'm doing a 2015 ass bit of a liberal.
Seriously, God, Joe.
He's gonna be like, oh, you can't eat meat around these people anymore. It's like hack shit, you know?
Are you who are you talking to?
Just on a comedy level, I'm angry because it's like
100%.
hack shit.
It's hacky, and he can't even keep up with the random Mr. Beast joke. Like, you just want to complain. Like,
I saw there's a Newsweek article that was like, Joe Rogan hits back at Mr. Beast accusation over LA fires. I was like, oh my God, did he say something after that and like criticize the comedian that said that? No. It's just, it says, Rogan, wow, that's a strong accusation. Rogan pushed back. Like, it just quotes the thing that he just said that we listened to in the video.
The thing that we just saw.
And the headline is Joe Rogan hits back at Mr. Beast accusation over LA fires. I feel bad for Newsweek, man. That used to be a magazine. They had features and news, and now they're like, well, I can get Joe Rogan and Mr. Beast in the same headline. Maybe SEO still works the way it did 15 fucking years ago. It's
incredible. Like I forget when it really started, but like it is the dregs of journalism now.
So
Newsweek
sad.
has fallen so far. How pathetic. What a pathetic article. What a pathetic article in response to a pathetic 20 seconds of conversation.
You know, people up here that do listen to Joe Rogan or have various opinions on him have said, you know, I liked that he had wild people on. I understand, but then he does say the stupidest shit, but it creates an environment where you get real interviews with people, or it used to be, but now it's like people just, it's like he's doesn't push back enough because it's like he's catering to the way people see him.
Yeah.
Is I guess the phrase that came out, and I went, interesting.
Oh yeah. He's playing,
and people it's like playing a role kind of, and it's now getting less and less interesting. This is a perspective I've heard, and I was like, that's an interesting one. We'll see. But I'm curious to see how this trajectory plays out, is I guess what I'm saying.
Well, because he's playing, there is an element of that. And if you look at his most recent guests, many of them are these billionaires who have bought the presidency or bought the vice presidency.
Corporate oligarchs.
He is a mouthpiece for the corporate oligarchy right now. He makes hundreds of $millions from Spotify, and he has on Mark Andreessen and Mark Zuckerberg and Donald Trump and JD Vance and Elon Musk to lie to him, to his face, and to everybody listening to him, and he slops it up. It's just embarrassing and pretty pathetic.
He likes people who like him back, kind of the way Trump does, and
kind of the way Elon does.
Yeah,
kind of like all these freaks.
Not to blow the thesis of a episode I've been writing for 6 months, but he likes people who like him, and he's like, a lot of the people that I kind of used to hang out with in the comedy world in LA think some of the stuff I'm saying is bigoted. Because it is. But these people don't think that at all. They believe this kind of the same things I do about X, Y, and Z.
I want to go on Joe Rogan.
Maybe he'll invite you. Do you have 4 hours?
Do you have 4 hours and $5 billion?
You got to go to Austin.
I don't have $5 billion, but I can make 4 hours in a flight to Austin.
Yeah. I can't wait to be done with this.
Invite me on the show, you coward.
There's so many clips. There's so many clips. His episodes are so long, and he's done thousands of them. It's you could whatever.
It's an impossible task that you have put yourself to.
No. I'm almost done. I know that sounds insane, but I'm almost done.
Well, howdy there. You know, I'm just a down-home country gal from, I don't know, Tennessee. But I still enjoy the finer things in life. For example, every morning I grab a cup of coffee and watch the many bees nest outside my home. And for that, I use Simply Safe, because you can't touch the nests. You can't do it, folks. You want to, but you can't. Wouldn't be smart. And with Simply Safe's Active Guard Outdoor Protection, I can keep an eye on all the buzzings and goings-on around my home. Okay, so I just lied. I'm not from Tennessee. I don't have that accent. Fooled ya. But I do use Simply Safe, and I enjoy having it. Crime isn't a big problem in this country. I just want to make sure we all are aware of that. But there are a lot of reasons someone might want that extra protection. And Simply Safe is the easiest and most affordable way to do that. They have a 60-day satisfaction guarantee or your money back. It's also super easy to set up and has no long-term contracts or cancellation fees. Because we love bees, folks. We do. We love watching them. We love eating them. But we can't go near them. And hey, right now we can get 50% off a new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafe.com/more news. That is simplysafe.com/more news. Check them out, yes, scamp. You.
Okay, folks. It is time to have the hard talk about pants. All right. Nobody likes them. Pants are a scab on the knuckle of humanity, a festering plague worming through the foundation beneath us all. We must destroy pants at all costs. But until then, I want to tell you about Public Rec. They make pants designed to be comfortable no matter what the occasion. Whether you're sitting around the house watching Supernatural, hanging out with your buds talking about Supernatural, or at an important business meeting pitching a sequel to the show Supernatural. You can go on their website, select the exact width and length you need, and get a pair of stretchy and breathable pants designed to look however you need them. Little secret comfy pants. I feel very strongly about this. And for a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code SMN at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com, use code SMN, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask how you found them, be sure to mention our show. It really helps us out. Please do that. Please mention our show. Also, mention the show Supernatural. Just because you're going to do that anyway. Find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules.
Okay, we've got a few minutes left, so why don't we quickly talk about TikTok? Will it want it?
Will it won't it?
It
probably won't it?
It probably will.
Will it tick or will it talk?
Will it talk? Well, we're going to lay out the broad strokes. I am fascinated by what's happening with people downloading Red Note, though. So start off with where we were at.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Sure.
I do kind of want to just go through this timeline really quick because it's a little bit muddled. You'd be like, wait, wasn't his position this? And it's changed, and here's
you would
why.
Think.
So Donald Trump
positions a lot.
Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok in 2020, citing national security reasons, or if it could be sold, and there was maybe a deal with Walmart or a deal with Oracle. Remember this 4 years ago?
Oh,
yes.
God.
Now Donald Trump wants to save it since he believes it will win him support from the app's 170 million US users. And he has been told, like, the young people on TikTok love you. And he's like, I'm going to save it. Okay. So early in 2024, the House passed and Biden signed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, or PFACA, which it basically bans TikTok. It doesn't specifically say we're banning TikTok. It says you can't be a foreign adversary that's controlling like the algorithm of something here. TikTok and ByteDance, which is the company that owns TikTok, sued the US government saying that is unconstitutional. In August 2024, the Federal Trade Commission and the DOJ sued ByteDance, saying that TikTok violates children's privacy laws. And recently, Trump asked the Supreme Court to put that ban on hold. And he, in his letter to the Supreme Court, he didn't really say it's unconstitutional or for a legal reason. He's like, I'm a good deal maker. I can get. It says President Trump alone possesses the consummate deal-making expertise, the electoral mandate, and the political will to negotiate a resolution to save the platform while addressing the national security concerns expressed by the government. However, when the Supreme Court heard oral arguments, it seemed like they were leaning towards upholding this ban because they're like, well, ByteDance, this Chinese company, does not have First Amendment rights, and TikTok could be around if they used some other algorithm that was based here or sold it. So the ban will go into effect on Sunday the 19th. If nothing else happens, Trump takes office the next day, Monday. Oh my God. And he's going to, says he's going to issue an executive order that will suspend the enforcement for a few months so he can do his deal. And then there's the Red Note thing, but we can.
I mean, there's so much. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. It is wild. It's basically, we want to control our propaganda to our citizens. It's basically, we care very much about what this foreign adversary will do with our data. They care which unlikely animal friendship video I hearted and shared with my mom. But we do not care about American companies that actually use that data and really violate our privacy.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, because Trump did kind of like lead this charge as we have laid out. And Democrats eventually got on board, and that seemed to coincide a lot with what is happening in Gaza. There's this quote that I think is pretty telling, and I'm again like, all these, I don't know, propaganda is bad and harmful, and many applications do it. All of them do it. There's this quote from Mitt Romney from last year in May. Some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. That's a weird thing to say, Mitt. That's a weird connection to make about this national security threat TikTok algorithm app that you're saying, like, there's a lot of mentions of Palestinians on this app. So this is not to say that people on TikTok aren't being propagandized in various ways, but it is to say that it seems like a lot of people who have certain opinions about certain conflicts kind of got on board because of that, because of the dissemination of certain types of information.
That's what I mean. It's like they want to control the propaganda we're given. They want to control the narrative. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out of my butt here, but it also comes at the same time as
you should
Mark
go on
Zuckerberg.
Rogan.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is my audition. At the same time as Mark Zuckerberg being like, yeah, we're not going to have fact checkers. We're going to allow whatever. It's wild what we do or do not care about.
I think look, there may be legitimate concerns about TikTok. I don't know what information is gathered and where it goes. Like, there very well may be many issues about a foreign government that is adversarial to the United States having this information. But it is kind of blind to how the rest of the internet works, how all the other apps work. Because, right, like, they would rather have Zuckerberg bend the knee to Trump and do like pro-Trump propaganda that's fed to all of us than anything from overseas about Gaza that they can't control. Like, Biden doesn't have a problem. He's like, oh, the Americans will see past this MAGA stuff. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
And the algorithms are going to be tweaked to make an audience of one happy, at least for the next 4 years. And I do want to talk about the Red Note thing, Katie, because you brought it up. American TikTok users have been flooding this other Chinese app called Xiaohongshu or Red Note, which is closer to like Instagram and Pinterest than TikTok, but you can do short videos and connect with others. And it's kind of been a little inspiring that like Chinese people and Americans are in a way connecting through apps for the first time.
It's remarkable.
That is wonderful. There are elements of this, obviously. I've seen a lot of people post like, look at this. I'm like, well, that's propaganda. Like of posts on Red Note, where it's like, well, you're immediately being propagandized about certain things. But this like general social interaction is such an interesting, valuable, cool thing of just like, yeah, we're here, you're there. What's it like? What do you think? Like, just
that's
that interaction
I mean.
is
the
really
point of the
Dispelling
internet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ideas that have been fed to us and that a lot of people take as true that aren't necessarily true, and actually interacting and putting a face to this spooky. It's like just human beings, and then realizing actually, oh, a ride in an ambulance for them costs $20 or whatever, and learning, which is a beautiful, wonderful element of social media, is being able to be exposed to other cultures and places.
I don't particularly care. Like, I have TikTok on my phone. I don't really use it. I don't particularly care if it goes away. I know a lot of people do, though. It seems like a free speech thing, just since from what I see, I see Americans talking about America stuff, all the time. So if there's not an independent government-run platform right? Where there's a forum for everything, we're stuck with someone owning it, and it's going to be the Chinese government or a shitty billionaire. I don't think either are particularly great options, and I just don't think there are other options right now. To Cody, what do you think about the Bloomberg report that ByteDance was considering selling TikTok to Elon Musk?
I think that we should just shut down the internet forever. I also heard, so they responded, they're like, we're not going to comment on things that aren't happening or whatever, or like these like rumors or whatever. So that seems not true, but my goodness, would that be just the worst disaster in the world?
TikTok said it was pure fiction.
And I hope it is.
I don't think he can afford it.
I don't think he can afford it. Mr. Beast is offering to buy it.
Didn't they say that he's too underwater with his Twitter?
Well, they didn't say that, but that is the implication.
Well, so that's the thing too. I've seen so many people even talk about like they should ban TikTok. It's like slop that's rotting people's brains and misinformation and stuff. And like I can't count the number of times I've had conversations with people who say like the most outlandish thing, and I'm like, where'd you hear that? And they say TikTok. That's true. That's true of all websites.
All of them.
You can say that about Facebook. You were saying about Facebook like 4 or 5 years ago, but fewer people use it now, I guess. That's just kind of the disgusting, sad, terrifying nature of this and algorithms in general. But I really hope that Elon Musk doesn't buy it.
He
talked about bringing back Vine, and I hope he doesn't do that either. But
implementing it into X.
Yeah. He said that like 2 years ago, so it seems like maybe it's not.
Don't you need to? Don't
happen.
Bring back Vine. Just create a 6-second video feature on the website you own, and you have developers to build stuff.
Yeah.
Would you have to buy whoever owns what's left of Vine and integrate it? I don't know how it works. All of his investors in Twitter have lost a lot of money, so I think he'd have a hard time convincing.
Well, he's busy defending his gaming cred from random streamers.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's happening. That's so funny that you have no idea. Oh, John,
I have no idea. We do have time. We do have time. We have time. The 1 minute version.
1 minute version is Elon Musk famously has constantly praised himself for being an epic elite gamer.
Yeah.
The best gamer in the world, Diablo and Quake back in the day, and so on and so forth. And he's been streaming every once in a while, and there have always been these sort of things where it's like, wait, how did you do that? He shared his Elden Ring build, which is just so embarrassing and weird. I haven't even played Elden Ring, but like, why do you put your stats this way? What are you doing? Like, it's just, he seems like a bad gamer. It's fine. And you don't have to be. You're a billionaire, richest man in the world. But he played this game called Path of Exile 2, and he started streaming it. And fans of Elon Musk and fans of Path of Exile 2 were watching him and slowly found like, wait, you don't seem to understand the game. He was streaming the game as this like one of the highest levels you can be. It requires hundreds and hundreds of hours of grinding and just like playing just the game to get to level, I think like 96 or something like that. And he's playing this game and he's he's like trying to like get the map to work. And it's like, if you are at this level, you know how the map system works. I think they're called like waystones now. So he's like struggling with that, and he's like doesn't have like these filters on for item collection and loot, which again you would do if you've played hundreds and hundreds of hours in this game. And
1 minute version.
Okay, and he's like, this weapon of mine is only level 63, but it's a pretty good. No. The requirement to use the weapon is 63. It's not the level of it's just like these little things where it's like you haven't played this game for very long. You don't understand the mechanics of this game that requires hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. So people made like videos explaining how it's like, yeah, I think he like bought this character and is like pretending to be really good at this game. And some bad streamer that I don't think is bad, Asmongold or something like that, the guy who like lives in a roach-infested room that he's never cleaned, like is like talking about how Elon Musk doesn't do this. So like Elon like shared DMs of him to like he like took away one of his check marks and is like going after the streamer for saying that he's like faking this quality of game, and like
I just want Katie's on screen reacting to this,
and the DMs are like, I can maybe like start uploading stuff to X. I'm gonna talk to my editors to see if they can do that. And what he means, video editors who take his stream and edit it down and upload it to places. And Elon's like, Asmund answers to these people. He doesn't answer to himself. He's not a lone entity. It's like, no, he's not like his editors, video editors. He's conflating like video editors with like an editorial board or something. It's just weird lies and fundamentally misunderstanding the thing. And he's spending his time just going after this gamer. It's extremely funny. And he is a liar who lied about his gaming abilities. It's so funny that he's doing this.
I don't find it funny.
It is, but I understand.
I find it embarrassing.
It is.
And
It's
the more
extremely
attention we give to it, I know you have to pay attention and blah, but I also feel deeply that like we're giving him exactly what he wants by even talking about it or discussing it or whatever.
Well, the
It's
hope
just
is that the
attention.
gamer community that understands video games will see that he's lying about this stupid thing, this silly, absurd thing. Why are you lying about this? And then take that information and perhaps apply it to everything else that they maybe don't know about that he is lying to them about. It's that phenomenon where like a physicist will be like, Elon doesn't know what he's talking about.
Think.
And then when he talks about subjects that you know about, it becomes more clear that he is
that he's full
just
of shit.
a liar, just a dumb liar. Thank you for your time.
He just pisses me off.
Yeah, he sucks.
But you know what doesn't piss me off? You guys at home.
Oh, she's
Oops,
right.
I just spilled my water gesturing. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe.
Haven't
said that
subscribe.
in a while. And in case you forgot,
Thank you.
we love you very much.
Much.